You're listening to your favorite podcast about Flesh and Blood and its community. Welcome to Last Ditch Effort. There we go. Welcome back to this week's episode of Last Ditch Effort. I am Maurice, joined by my co-hosts Ralph and Patrick.
Hey Maurice, how are you doing?
Doing good. Coming off of a successful weekend, I would say.
Yeah, I would say it was successful for you as well. Everyone expected you to be, so you just delivered what was expected.
Yeah, so Battle Hardened Geneva was this weekend. Me and I would say we were 15 people all coming down from Zurich at least.
Yeah, it was basically the Zurich Armory, the Winterthur Armory, and a part of the Weinfelden Armory, grabbing at the train and driving down to Geneva to play some Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, so first Battle Hardened in Switzerland, I would say, was very successful. What was your impression?
Yeah, I think it was amazing. Like the first Battle Hardened in the country, and there were so many Swiss players actually there. There were people from France as well. I think there was a guy from Brazil even visiting. He was traveling around Europe and just joined. And there have been people I think I've seen people from Italy as well, but a big French group, a big German group, but so many Swiss players. And I think that hopefully this will not be the last Battle Hardened or calling. So the calling would be next, right, on the list of big events that we want in Switzerland. But I think it was a well-run tournament. The room was a little bit badly ventilated, but if that's your own problem, then I think it was a success. Well run. The judges did, I think, a great job, at least from what I've seen.
Yeah, there were so many judges actually for what was it, like a 90-player event? There was like 7 or 8 judges for the event.
Yeah. It was the very first round of the Battle Hardened. We'll get into the details later, right? But the very first round of the Battle Hardened, I sit down, and my opponent sits down, we prepare our decks, and we already have like 3 judges standing around in our vicinity. And I look at him, and we both like, yeah, we gotta get so deck checked. And then a minute later, like, we present decks and just look at the judges while we put down our decks, and they're like, yeah, deck check. Okay, cool. We still finished in time though, but
that sounds like it sucked that weekend. Must be the worst tournament ever.
Because I got deck checked? No.
Because I wasn't there, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the opportunity to come, right? But you decided to not lose ELO.
I was scared of you guys farming my ELO.
Exactly. I think that...
And I was right in the end.
And yeah, you should have been.
Everything could have happened. Yeah, so I think to sum it up, it was a very well-run event, meeting nice people, catching up with people that I haven't seen in a while, especially like from the German community. And yeah, overall, well-run tournament. There was a stream. I think the stream was only available in French, if I remember correctly.
Yes, yeah, they... I think it was the team from Carnaval at Everfest. Excuse me for my horrible pronunciation of French, but they are a podcast team from Geneva, and they ran a pretty tight stream from what I saw.
Yeah, the production quality was quite nice. We watched some like around top 8. We watched the stream without audio because we were sitting in the venue, right? And a friend was playing a top 8 match, so we were following that on our phones without the audio. But no, it looked good, and chat seemed to enjoy themselves as well as always. So yeah, I think a cool tournament, cool opportunity, also for our community.
So speaking about that match we watched on stream, I think Ralph and me owe a huge apology to Daya from our local armory, since he went top 8 with none other than Jarl, making his run to top 8 with a 5-2 record in the Swiss rounds, I believe, with his only loss being he lost against Aurora in the last round, and before that he lost to a
Enigma in the very
Enigma,
first
I
round. I
believe,
think
yes.
it's funny because the entire event we've been basically sitting next to each other. It's so funny, like, because I also lost the first round and then like quite late, and like we were always sitting next to each other, and he was like, don't pair me into Patrick, please. And I was like, come on, give me the Jarl. No, but amazing run, super cool deck. Chat seemed to like it as well. Every time a pummel was resolved, the chat was super hype. Yeah, cool Jarl deck. I think hit the spot in the meta that we expected, and as we expected. So there was a lot of aggro decks around, a lot of auroras. And actually, I think the new matchup is not that not as unfavored as some people initially thought. Yeah, big congratulations to Daya, and
big congrats.
I told him that I expected him to be like a little bit better because he's already been playing Flesh and Blood for 2 weeks. Yeah, I mean, it's like I think it was his first big Flesh and Blood event, and then immediately with an own brew top 8 an event like that, like that's super impressive. So
I think he's really into deck building. He showed me this deck on Tuesday and was like explaining like, oh, you need this many blues, this many earth cards, this many ice cards for perfect ratios and everything. And the deck looked already super good, and I'm sure he's gonna even optimize it.
Yeah, after the event, I think he already had some thoughts on improvements, card replacements. So I think there is a lot of cool brews I think we're gonna see in the future from him, and most likely
Definitely.
resulting in more Battle Hardened wins and things like this.
I'm wondering how good his new matchup is, because he talked last time, and he said, yeah, new is not really a problem because his blues aren't that playable for her. Even still getting up to, I think, like around 30 blues, and they're still not playable for her. So I really have to get new to an armory and test him out and see if that's true.
Yeah, I think if you play a channel like Frigid as new, it's not not good. It's because it's gonna go away, right? I mean, yeah, you don't have any ice cards that are there. Then the other channels, the blue ice cards, things like this. I think, yeah, as far as I saw, he didn't play like the blue Macho Grandes and like the Bravo cards you or the big spells Guardians usually run.
Yeah, and I heard Morris is no good in CC, so we just talk about you and Kano Patrick, I guess, and then leave Sunday to Morris.
I ended up 5-2, but overall, I think the deck was great, and the version of the deck that I brought was suitable for the event, even though I was preparing for aggressive matchups. So I was preparing or my sideboard had slots to target specifically the AB1 Zens that were in the room and the Auroras that were in the room. And I played in 7 rounds 0 Zens and 0 Auroras. And basically every matchup was what would I have considered a stack matchup before Rosetta. So it was 2 Nus, 2 Victors, it was an Enigma, it was a Florian. Okay, the Florian was maybe an exception. And it was, what's the last one that is missing now? An Ira. Okay, so maybe the Ira and the Florian matchups were the decks that I was prepared for, and the I didn't expect Victors to be there. There were like every deck was on AB3 and then some combination of Spell Void and Oasis Respites. Like,
wow.
Yeah, they were ready for you, man.
Yeah, they were ready for the
that's
3 Kanos in the room.
Swiss meta. There's always wizards that show up, so there's always people prepared for wizards.
Yes, and I think that's completely the right call, because there were a bunch of Verdances in the room, and you don't want to lose your win in against a Kano, right? And if you can fix that with a few sideboard slots that you don't need otherwise, I think it's the right call. But I was just not expecting there to be so much respect. I had a one of Imperial Edict in my sideboard, but I didn't know if top 8 was open decklist or not. and it was just there to scare away the Oasis Respites in the top 8. So I never boarded it in, actually.
What does
It's
this
just-
card do?
It's the one where it's a non-attack action 1 cost where I can, if it's in the field, it's an item, I can, as an action with Go Again, name a card, and until my next turn, the card can't be played.
Oh, okay,
It's
so
like
for your combo turn.
You stack, and then the turn before you reach stack, you name Oasis Respite or against Guardians some prevention effect, and then they can't play that. It's like but since I didn't bring this stack package, it was just there in case top 8 is open.
I won't lie, I do respect the hustle of just being like, oh, I'll put a card in my deck because if the top 8 is open deck list, it will do something.
Yeah.
And that's what I call
That's the
confidence
play.
for prepping.
Yeah, but
tournament.
because I was very confident with the deck choice, and yeah, but it's useless if you don't have the stack package.
I think it's useless if you don't make top 8.
That is something else, but I felt super confident in the deck, and I think it's still a good deck choice, honestly. I don't regret it. I was between Viserai and Kano, and I think for the matchups I played, I don't regret bringing Kano, and I had so much fun. And one upside is I actually had a lunch break. I actually had 2 lunch breaks. I could after 20 minutes of one game, I could go to Coop, grab a salad, eat a salad, and then grab a muesli, grab a drink, and I was just like having a good time watching top tables, watching my friends play. So I think that was a good decision. And honestly, by the end of the day, I did not feel fatigued in terms of mentally fatigued because of playing. The games were super intense, but in a way, it's very repetitive because you just do the math on the fly. You count resources and you see how much damage you can do, and then you make a decision. So it's not like, oh, what happens if? You just like do the thing, do the math, and then you're like, okay, now I block or now I go. And yeah, I think it's a good choice for a big event. I realized that once again.
Yeah, I think if you're comfortable with the deck, you're just play it more smoothly, and the games usually also go quicker, which is definitely something that I was struggling a little bit with this weekend. Well, this tournament with Zen. I decided to bring Zen because I figured it was the easiest aggro deck to adjust to coming from Dash. It felt okay. I don't think the deck was bad at all. Me and Maurice Phillips played a very similar list. I think one of the few differences was that I played wax on, wax off, which he didn't, and I played Mask of Momentum for the aggro matchups, which I felt really good, but I think I was just lacking the kind of in-depth knowledge for the deck. So I went 4-3, which is still, I think, reasonable. I don't think I could have expected to do much better with the prep that I had.
That's still good.
Yeah, still positive for the weekend, I suppose. But yeah, could have gone better.
Not for the rating, though. You lost everything in the Maurice mirror.
Yeah, we faced each other, I believe, round 6. So one before the last round, and I ended up losing. And that was like the nail in my coffin. But even if I went 5-2, I probably wouldn't have made it since I lost round 2 and 3. So my standings weren't great when it came to tiebreakers already. And I think only 2 people made it into top 8 with a 5-2 record. So I wasn't going to be one of those.
And they both lost their last game in round 7. So you had to be 5-1 in the last round to make top 8.
Okay. What standings did you have?
Sorry?
What were your standings in the end?
In total, I was 15th with 5-2 because I lost round 1 and round 5.
Okay, round 1 is hard.
Yeah, the round 1 loss was very, very hard. But I'm actually happy that it did not affect my play at all. Like, I was like, okay, this is out of the way now. I can still make top 8. That was like, and I was convinced by this. And yeah, I almost made it. So I 2 life away from top 8. So I think that's fine. I can live with that result. I'm happy with the deck, and I think it's a reminder to myself that I should really stick with my deck intuition sometimes and should not brew as much as I do, and maybe just practice the decks I know a little bit more. But that's just a that's just a brewer's problem.
Yeah, Maurice still needs to find a CC deck as well.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, he was already on Kano once, so maybe you can talk a bit more about what is Kano today, because I have no clue actually. How did the playstyle change, like with the book bans and everything?
Yeah, so there is this thing. It's called Unga Bunga Kano, which is based off of blind top decks and preying on low AB. There are people that play all 6 open the floodgates and things like this.
Oh, so you're more search combo heavy.
Yes, it's like a surge combo heavy deck that preys on opponents not having resources. But I tried that out a little bit, and I don't like that. It's like I usually want to play Kano with knowing everything that can happen, ideally having full information when I do a combo, because then I can affect the outcome, right? Then if I missequence my Kindle Ragamuffins Head Kano activation thing and then screw up because of that, then I lose because I missequenced and not because the top of my deck was something that I can't play. So I still played, I would say it's like a quite mid-rangey Kano deck, which I had Red Open the Floodgates in the sideboard for the super aggressive matchups where I do need to combo super quick. But everything else was basically a tempo Kano list with the addition. So it's your normal deja vu potions, energy potions, and then wildfire combo with the addition of Kindles, because Kindles are amazing, and because it's a super nice arsenal target, Kindles. The problem is you don't have tomes anymore, so the stack plan usually is like disregarded. But I think we now have an idea on how a stack could look with Kindle Kano. And I had 2 the opt potions, potion of the clarity potion, where you can instant speed opt 2, destroy it to opt 2. Because so my theory was I can fix the top of my deck for Ragamuffins Head to make sure I do draw a blue. And if I need 1 Kano activation as the middle spell in like a combo line, if I don't have lessons, then it would be good to know what's on top, because if I do go into the combo and then whiff of the top, then it's like almost an auto loss. As if you know what's on top of your deck, then it helps a little bit. And what usually people are running is like Cindering Foresight, but it's not a blue and you can set it up, right? You can put it in your arsenal, but then your arsenal is blocked. And if you want to opt in your combo turn, the clarity potions are helpful. Those are played in these like super aggressive off the top Unga Bunga lists. I think people play 3 of them. I played 2 of. And yeah, so the general game plan is really just mid-range, play tempo, opt a bunch, and then if your opponent makes a mistake, you just try to kill them on the spot or get them super low on life totals and then finish the game with a late game second combo or other instant speed shenanigans like with snapbacks and things like this.
I also feel like the deck got a little bit more clunky with the Open the Floodgates and stuff like Eternal Inferno, which is like more reds that you don't necessarily love to see.
No one is running Eternal Inferno. I've been trying it.
Lists.
I've been trying it with Chain Lightning. I think that's the new janky combo, like Chain Lightning and Eternal Inferno combo.
I tried Auxilio with Eternal Inferno.
But even just running the Sonic Booms again, which I feel like older lists have cut usually for more combo focus.
Yeah,
it's just like Sonic... a yellow instead of a blue and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the Sonic Booms are super relevant into A, B,
they are. I do think
pre-matchups because
like
they push it over the top. Yeah,
lists prior to the book ban didn't necessarily run it.
Yeah, the pure combo lists did not. The tempo heavy lists, yes. And I think people bringing back snapbacks and things like this for tempo is. Oh, this is turning into a Kano podcast, by the way. I like it. The Open the Floodgates red though, they are awkward. I agree. And I boarded them out in the new matchups. I boarded them out in the Victor matchups. I boarded them out. It's like I don't want to see those cards there because
and there's also some more like bricks now. So do you have Will of Arcana that bricks you, Eye of Ophidia that bricks you, and the 3 Kindles that all brick you. If you're in the middle of the combo and you need like a spell off the top, you can't play any of these. And then you also play, depending on what list you're on, you play like a little bit more potions, which you also don't love to see off the top. So I think the deck has become, I think you need more mastery of how to play Kano well in situations that you are not necessarily favored in order for you to place highly with the deck. But it's still
you can't just YOLO your way out usually.
Yeah. It's the kind of safety valve of like, we'll see what comes off the top and sometimes you win the game is usually not really there anymore. That's just from like kind of a feeling of playing against it as well. I feel like usually when I'm ahead, we both kind of know it, and then they usually can't find their way out of it unless you tap out or they just yeah. I mean, they still can get lucky, but it's less likely now.
Yeah, but the ceiling of the deck, I feel like, is higher now. At least the version that I played, like I played a Wildfire 4/8, just casually first cycle Wildfire 4/8, and that won me the one game. And it was something that came naturally, right? It was like a Kindle Will of Arcana situation, and it was just like doing the math. Oh, hold on, your AB3 is irrelevant here. So yeah, I'm not sure where the deck will go in the future, but I'm sure that I'll be playing more Kano in the future as well.
You have a Waning Moon plan into Enigma?
Yes. Waning Moon and the big spells. So for a while I've been running Cut Through the Facade plus Wounded Bull, and I've been liking it a lot. Until it cost me in testing 2 games in a row because I needed to. They were attacking with a Mira guy, and I needed to find a spell off the top to kill it, and it was like an 8 power, 7 power attack, and then I just lost on the spot, and then I was like, okay, maybe I'll replace them with red spells. They're a little bit worse main phase, but they're way better during your opponent's turn. Yeah, Waning Moon is good. Still good.
Enough
but yeah,
about
enough
Kano.
talk. So I think
let's talk about what really matters, which is limited.
So after none of us made top 8, and Patrick has been monologuing for Kano for 30 minutes, let's talk about what really matters, and that is Maurice securing his PTI in the PQ Plus on the next day, which was a sealed event. Maurice, we all expected you to win this. Did you expect yourself to win this as well, or?
So I was like joking the day before we walked to dinner, and I was like, I've won with every hero except Ocilio. Like I've won either a draft or like something else in ProQuest. Except with Ocilio, I never really got like an Ocilio pool, or like I was never in the seat to draft Ocilio. And then the next day, I open my sealed pool and I get 2 Comet Storm Shock in the same sealed pool.
Wow.
So I was like, okay. I also had a very, very good Florian pool. Like I saw 2 red Cadaverous Tillings, 2 yellow Cadaverous Tillings, a bunch of other good Earth cards, a Seeds of Tomorrow. And I was like, this is very tempting to just go Florian here. But the problem was with the Florian pool, I was missing like big, impactful late game stuff. So I didn't have Arcane Sea's Life. I didn't have a Felling or a Germinate or something like that. And I knew with 32 people in the room, someone's going to play those cards against me, right? So
you're just going to lose against the other Florians in the mirror. Exactly. If you play that.
So if you play the Florian mirror, you're going to go to late game, and then the people with like the really flashy, good Majestics are going to win. So I was like, okay, Burn Up Shocks, not Burn Up Shocks. The Comet Storm Shocks. They're really good cards. So let's see what my Lightning pool looks like. And the Lightning pool in general was also pretty decent. Like I had 2 or 3 Fries, both yellow and blues, and I think 1 Surging Strike red. Not a ton of Lightning cards. 2 yellow flashes. So like not great Lightning cards, but stuff that's passable. And then I had a lot of red wizard spells. So I was like, okay, if I just play wizard spells and arcane damage for 3 turns at the start of the game, they are not going to be able to decompose anything. And I will just win off of that because their life gain and their prevention effects don't really kick in until they're online, right? The fertile grounds are not that much value if you're not online. You can't use your boots if you're not online, and so on and so forth. So I was like, okay, I think I'll just build this Osilia deck, and it will just kill people before turn 4 and before they're able to decompose. And that's basically exactly what happened. My deck was, I think, actually incredible. I think Osilio, if it comes together, is probably the highest power level deck in Sealed. However weird that sounds, because I feel like other people felt that Osilio was unplayable before this.
No, it can feel so great to play Osilio and just kill him before they do anything.
Yes. I think the 3 of us were aware of this because also at Armories we've been playing a lot of Osilio in Sealed. I mean, the last Sealed final at the Armory I was playing Osilio and Moise just gained all the life on Florian.
That's true, yeah.
But I think it's not a secret that we liked Osilio.
Yeah.
I mean, Ralph, you had super nice success with it at Worlds, and we talked about that in the previous episodes. But yeah, people are still sleeping on Osilio in Limited, and I think it's this: I can't just block and gain life and then win. I have to work for it thing that maybe makes people afraid to play Osilio.
I think the reason behind this is because all of Osilio's cards look bad on a value evaluation datasheet, right? Like even something like Comet Storm Shock is on, if you don't know anything about any other card in the game, it's a like 2 for 5 or a 4 for 6 arcane damage, all right, but like it takes your action point, and if you just evaluate it on that, it's like not a great card. But it's the combination of your game plan in context with the other heroes that make it so good. Like dealing arcane damage is just inherently so good in Rosetta because they don't get to block. They have to pitch to block it, which makes their cards not go into graveyard, which is so important for the Earth heroes. So that fact alone makes these cards so much better. And the other tricky part is that you also cannot attack in the first like 2 turns. So even if you draw your go again lightning attacks that make you like amp, you like have to kind of resist the urge to just play out your hand and like go wide on the first like 2 or 3 turns, because otherwise you lose all of that advantage that's kind of inherent in the arcane spells, right?
That's like peak Osilio gaming there.
Yeah.
And that's a thing to realize, right? Because it's usually in Flesh and Blood Limited formats are like, what is your value maximization of your hand, right? If we look at heavy hitters, that was a lot of, it played a big role of like, how do I spend my hand most efficiently? And here it was these in-game decisions. And here it's more like a macro decision, like what is your specific game plan against which hero, and like executing this game plan can win you a PTI. And it's just, if you think about it, it's insane because you break your habits of, oh, I have to spend my entire hand, I have to do this and do that and put as much pressure or whatnot. No, it's just like, just don't attack the Earth hero in the first 3 turns, threaten arcane damage, and you might actually win. It's like, if you say it sounds so simple, but actually doing it is so hard because
it's such a weird concept to do. Like usually, if you play your hands, it's just like, oh, okay, simple math, put the numbers together. Okay, that's the maximum damage I can do. But here, like you're basically saying, oh no, I don't do my maximum damage. I'm just gonna do subpar things. But my opponent does subpar things as well. So you're basically now just playing the guarding game.
Yeah, it's really funny because you kind of run into these situations where they attack you with a non-earth attack, and you can just be like, I'll block with 2 wizard spells for 6 still, and then play a wizard spell and attack for like 4 arcane damage. and just kind of rely on the fact that you're still going to kill them before they're going to decompose, just because 4 life for them is so much more loss. Like if every bit of arcane damage that you shoot is like more than it is worth more to you to deal like 1 point of arcane damage than it is for them to attack for 1, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and then they even maybe be stuck with a 5-card hand they can't convert because they don't have the action points.
Or they start playing their red fertile grounds gaining 2 life.
Exactly.
Fine
but
too.
then all of a sudden their best cards become terrible value. Because even if you think about something like a Felling of the Crown or a Germinate, those cards are terrible if you are not online. Like a Felling of the Crown, if you can't decompose, is just a 3 for 4. And a Germinate just is like pay 2 times X, gain X life, which is not like, and like
X plus 1.
Make some rune chants, but it's not so good if you're not online as Florian, right? Like paying 4 to make 2 rune chants and gain 3 life is not even on rate.
Yeah, and suddenly your Earth opponents are relying on finding harvest seasons in their first 4 hands, or
Fruits of the Forest is
Yeah,
probably
Fruits of the
the
Forest.
best card you can draw,
Yeah.
which is also where my only loss came from.
Yeah.
My opponent discarded, I think, 4 Fruits of the Forest over the course of 3 or 4 turns, and then played a Felling of the Crown for 8 with Decompose. Yeah.
See ya.
That was too much value for me to handle.
Yeah.
Did you play all Florians, or what were your matchups in
No,
general?
so I played, I believe, 3 Florians, 3 Verdants, or 4 Florians, 2 Verdants, something like that.
Earth
but I was
heroes.
the only Lightning hero that made it to top 8. Everybody else was on the Earth train. Not a lot of Aurora in the room, which is a little suspicious to me. That I feel like there were some Aurora decks that probably didn't get played because people preferred the Earth heroes.
Yeah, I think it's just like, it's easy to play the Earth heroes. You don't have to think about it too much. And the criticism that I've heard about this limited format was mostly some sort of frustration of maybe not having influence on the outcome of a game because there is too much life gain of some Earth heroes or things like this. But breaking this with, for example, not attacking, or with having a setup-oriented game plan if you're an Aurora, then this could overcome this problem. But I think it's very hard to, as I said before, break your own habits that we've been practicing in the previous formats of just like maximizing value and not questioning those habits. And I think that's why I think it is my favorite limited set of all time in Flesh and Blood, just because of that aspect. Like you need a game plan into every specific other strategy, and sometimes there are these corner cases where there's this Florian mirror where no one knows, does the other person even have arcane damage? Do I bring in my my polarity? Do I not? What do I have to do in order to win? Do I just swing sword?
Yeah, I keep saying this every limited set, that this is my favorite limited set ever. But I think LSS is just also improving every set.
Yeah.
They especially with Rosetta, it's so deep. Like there's so many, even every hero kind of has 2 different archetypes that you can play. Like you can play the Ocilio deck that attacks a bunch and then plays a spell. You can play the full Wizard Ocilio deck that only has very little lightning and kind of relies on 3 blocks to get a little bit later into the game, but has the inevitability of arcane damage. Same with Verdants. You can play a very late game oriented Verdants list that kind of tries to make use of the life gain and ping mechanics. Or you can play a more wizard heavy Verdance deck that relies on kind of the same ideas of like amp and 3 blocks of the wizard with the embodiment of earth tokens that you're able to generate. Florians you can play, like you said, with arcane damage, which is like the normal build, I would say. Or you can play kind of an arcane damage less build that kind of just plays a guardian gameplay and tries to fatigue. Yeah, it's so cool. The format's so deep.
Yeah, you forgot the best of all the archetypes, the Flash, Open the Floodgates combo Auxilio.
Of course.
My favorite archetype. But I agree. It's a super nice limited format. But yeah, you played in sealed, you played Auxilio.
Yeah.
And you lost one game. But then it was top 8. It was a draft again, right?
Yes, top 8 was draft, which is my favorite format. And it was just my first pack. Pack 1, pick 1 was horrible. Absolute disaster. Like no power cards at all. I remember all the elemental cards were bad for me. Like there was not anything that was even like the earth cards were not good. The lightning cards were yellows and like uninspiring. So I decided to pick a perennial Ether Bloom red as my first pick.
Great card. Great card. I love it.
And I was kind of like, well, if it's a key card for Verdance, and if you have one, your deck becomes so much better if you end up in Verdance. So it's like, all right, I'll just take this and see what happens from here. And what happened from there was I got past one of the most insane Aurora pools I had ever seen. So my second pick was Runehold Release, the arm piece. Then it continued with like lightning card after lightning card. I had red Surging Strikes. I had 3 red Triptolite Fantastic. I had red and blue Heaven's Claw. I had red Bounce Spell. I can't remember what it's called. The one that returns it to your hand.
The Somersault.
Somersault. Thank you. I had a red red Somersault. I had red 2 yellow static charges, the ones that like give plus.
The instant, right?
Yes, the instant that gives your next attack plus 3, 2, or 1. I had 3 red flittering charges. I had 2 yellow fries, 1 blue fry. I had a lightning sigil. I had the sigil that arcane barriers or the arcane shelters you. Just pretty much everything you could ever hope for. And yeah, it turns out I was the only Aurora at the table. So once again, not a huge affinity for lightning heroes. There was an Auxilio with 3 Comet Storm Shocks in the end.
Yo.
But the kind of crazy thing was that Auxilio didn't seem super open in pack 1 because the lightning cards in pack 1 were only okay. The Runeblade cards were very good in my seat, but the lightning cards were kind of underwhelming, I would say. But the wizard cards were very good. So I feel like what happened is a lot of people switched to Verdance because the wizard cards seemed so good. So we ended up with 3 Verdance, 3 Florians. And then the Auxilio probably was also on Verdance and then switched once he saw all those Comet Storms arrive. But yeah, it was just like insane what I got. Like as the only Aurora at the table, I got everything that I wanted. And yeah, I just ran over all my opponents. It kind of just worked out. I got a little lucky against my round 2 opponent because I drew the Sigil of Conductivity, the Arcane Shelter one, in the exact turn where he would have killed me if I couldn't. Like if I would have needed to block with at least 1 or 2 cards out of my hand. And the way it worked out is I was able to get the Arcane Shelter as instant, right? Like I played the Sigil of Conductivity instant. Then I was able to prevent 2 more with my boots. So the instant spell kind of blocked 3, but also gave me an embodiment of lightning, which I needed because my card in Arsenal didn't have Go Again. And then I had lethal on the next turn. So it was like a perfectly timed Sigil of Conductivity against an otherwise very good deck.
Yeah, the defensive instance can be quite good with the boots. Like even if you get like the Arcane Life when they made Arcane to you.
Yeah, I think so too, actually. And yeah, I also in my second pack, first pick, I opened the Felling of the Crown. And I was like, oh, I think if I pass this card, I will just lose to it. So I'm just going to pick it. And nothing else in the pack was really all that great.
Value draft.
Yeah, so I just value drafted a Felling. And I do think it won me at least one of those games because it would have ended up
in Earth Heroes deck.
Yeah, in one of the Earth Heroes decks, yeah. So yeah, one of the very, very few instances where I think hate drafting is justified.
There I have an interesting question for you. If you know the seat after you is also on Lightning, then do you hate draft the felling, or do you pass it so the other person wastes a pick with hate drafting it because they don't want to lose to it?
I think it's kind of a question of what else is in the pack. If you have, like, let's say you open a pack with a foil Arc Lightning and Felling of the Crown, and you have to pick which one you're going to take, I would take the Arc Lightning. Just because you were going to see your bombs in all of your games, whereas you might only see the other bomb in one game. So you only have to beat that one once, but yours might help you in every game that you play.
Yeah, that I agree with. But yeah. I'm just wondering if you trust the person after you enough to hate pick.
No, I wouldn't look at it that way. Basically, if the pack it doesn't have anything that's super fantastic for me, and I don't mind wasting a pick, I will hate draft it. But if there's even something that I think is like decent, I will probably not hate draft, even if it's a really good card. Felling might be like kind of an exception because it's so like broken and limited that it might just lose you the game on the spot and you can like never beat it.
Yeah, same with the Germinate though, right?
Yeah, but a Germinate is a little different because a Germinate I think you can beat with Aurora because you can just kill him before he ever gets to the pitch stack, right? Yeah. So Germinate, I don't think I would have hate picked a Germinate because it's not that good in draft. If you are on an aggressive deck, right? Like if you're on a floor, like if you're on a Verdance deck, for example, you can maybe think about it because there's a chance that you might not win against it. But if you're on one of the Lightning heroes, like I would not hate draft a Germinate.
No.
But yeah, and if I'm in that spot where I'm even considering hate picking it because I don't mind wasting a pick, because I also knew I was probably the only Lightning hero at the table just because of just the amount of Lightning cards that passed by me, even if they weren't of super high quality. I just saw like, you know, a pack with 3 Lightning cards in it when there was like 6 cards left in the pack. So I knew like maybe there's one other Lightning hero at this table and nobody else cares for these Lightning cards. They were all like yellows and blues, so obviously they weren't super great, but like it means that no one picked a Lightning card out of this pack, right?
Yeah, I think it's still viable to play bananas in these drafts just to get the combos off.
Yeah, first of all, the yellows are not as bad as people think, especially in the Lightning heroes, because your weapon is so great that like an enabling of attacking with your Starfall is so valuable that I don't even mind wasting a value on the.
Obviously, they are yellow. Lightning is yellow.
Exactly,
makes sense.
There's a reason why Arc Lightning is yellow. If it were a wizard card, it would be red.
But yeah, to answer your questions, no, I would not like pass it in the hopes that the person next to me hate drafted it. Just because if I'm already in the spot where I'm even considering hate drafting it, I will just hate draft it and like whatever.
Yeah, I also don't trust anyone at the table anymore with their drop picks.
At that point, I kind of view it as picking an equipment that's like a very good sideboard against one of the heroes, for example. Because then it's kind of like picking that equipment in case you play against that hero. And to me, it's kind of like that. Like if I don't know, I can't really think of any recent examples. It's like picking equipment that makes your deck like better against one certain hero that you're going to face. You can be like, all right, if like I don't mind any other pick in this pack, I will just take this because it will make one matchup so much better in this draft, right?
Yeah.
It went very well. Only Aurora went 3-0 and I got my first unlimited PTI, meaning I can use it for any Pro Tour, which I'm very excited.
So congratulations, man. Well deserved. Well deserved.
Thank you.
So we play Pro Tour London and then probably Pro Tour Singapore and then we go to
Do we know that it's in Singapore? No, right? It's just Asia.
Just speculation.
Okay. Maybe I'll save it for the World Championships. We'll see. I guess I can still qualify for the World Championships, but
yeah, you can also still qualify for the Pro Tour.
That's very true.
So many options though.
But it's good to have one banked up. I won't lie. Seeing this little one next to your gem account kind of feels very validating.
We had the Last Ditch Effort Pro Tour team, and playing with me is Maurice, and Patrick is our coach.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
exactly.
He can be your Kano coach. Personal.
I can Kano coach you. I can talk you into playing a bad deck. I'm good at talking
at that.
myself into playing a bad deck, so I can do that for you too if you want.
Yeah, and I am very happy that I'm back in the top 5 of the leaderboards of the country. I know that's a vain thing to care about, but I think it's nice.
No, I was so sad. Like before the event, I was and it didn't even show me on the first page anymore. And I was like, oh no. But I gained a little bit of elo. So
Yeah.
I'm at least up above 1500 again.
Recovering.
Yeah, slowly recovering. It's funny, like, because I always gain like elo with Kano, and then I play a season something different, and then I lose all the elo again, and then I need Kano to bail me out again.
Back to the old
It's
faithful.
It's such a repeating pattern that I think I should just like realize it at one point. But next CC Armory, probably I'll show up with Betsy or something, and just like be ignorant again about what I should be playing or whatnot. I like different things in Flesh and Blood, so I try out different things. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to do as a coach. I think I can tell you what to not play.
So last competitive event for the year, I would say a success for the whole community. It was a really great tournament, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Good first
I think it was an
tournament.
overall great success. And what I've heard also from newer players is that it was a lot of fun too. And I think that's something that we can probably revisit in one of our upcoming episodes, is to talk about like how to prepare for your first big event, what to keep in mind and things like this. It's something that we have planned, right? That we'll revisit and hopefully give a little bit of advice there.
The best newcomer experience is to go to a tournament and then get blasted by a random Kano where you have to read every card and you have no clue what's happening.
Exactly. That's why I don't play Kano as much, right? It's just because I want to be nice. No,
So
I think
nice
I played no very recently new players in the event. So that's a win.
Also, we kind of passed a milestone with today's podcast because it's been about a year since we published our first episode. It was November 30th of 2023 when we said Data Doll confirmed broken. And boy, were we right.
Oh yeah, we were so ahead of our time.
We were so right that we were about a year ahead of the time.
Yeah.
But right now, Data Doll is still confirmed broken, right?
They
even had to ban a card because it was so good.
Exactly. Now we know that we are like a year ahead. So, Maurice, what is your guess for next year if we revisit what will be broken in a year and what we think might be broken right now also, because like we're mixing up the different time axes? What would be your guess of what is broken in a year?
All right. So hear me out. You know the card Phantasmify from
No.
all the way from Uprising. For those of you who don't know what Phantasmify does, let me pull up the card here real quick and read the text for you. Here we go. It's a 1 cost. The red does the next attack action card you play this turn is Illusionist in addition to its other class types and gains +5 attack and Phantasm. Go again. So for those of you who don't know what Phantasm does, because it's not been in the game all that much, well, I guess Enigma plays some Phantasm attack, but it says if you defend a non-illusionist with a non-illusionist attack action card that's 6 or more, destroy it, close the combat chain. Then, so it turns your next card into an illusionist attack. It will come up why that matters in a second. The second card we need for this combo is Out Muscle, which is
we hear you typing it in.
Which is a generic from Monarch that says while Out Muscle isn't defended by a card with equal or greater power, it has Go Again. It costs 3 and attacks for 6 usually. So we play Phantasmify, then we play Out Muscle.
So it's 11 Go Again Phantasm.
Exactly. So it's a Go Again Phantasm. Basically, unless your opponent is a Guardian and blocks this card for 12 or more, it will have Go Again. Or for 11 or more, it will have Go Again.
Or you can, as a lightning hero, you can block it with 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and lightning press your own attack. Don't need to be a guardian for that. Sorry. Yes. Niche interaction, but yes.
So basically what we've done right now is we've attacked for 11 go again, which is not so impressive yet. But now this is the card that I'm going to predict will be insanely broken. So buy your copies now before other people catch up to this. It's an illusionist attack from Everfest, which we all know the Everfest attacks become great at some point. It's Fractal Replication, a zero-cost illusionist attack that says when you play or defend with Fractal Replication, it gains the base ability of all illusionist attack action cards on the combat chain. Fractal Replication's power is equal to the greatest base power among illusionist attack action cards on the combat chain, and Fractal Replication's defense is equal to the greatest base among illusionist attack action cards on the combat chain.
And
Which
this costs
basically
0,
means-
right?
And it costs 0, yeah.
So you can play 2 of those.
You can play 2 of those. That's exactly my point. So you can attack for 33 if your opponent does not hold a 6 or greater power attack, which, let's be honest, who plays 6 powers these days?
Yeah, nobody.
So is there a way where you could go even one step further and with epots or something like this and put the Phantasmify on a Cosmic Awakening and then play the Fractal Replication? I know, but you don't have the go again. Okay, you need the out muscle. You need the go again attack. Okay, I see you. So you say that Fractal Replication will be broken in a year.
I think it's broken now.
Yeah, it's broken to the point where it's not fixable. I think either Bolton or Kano will be confirmed broken in a year.
I'll try to make one for next time.
Yeah, I think I can't come up with anything from the top of my head, but I think Bolton is like 2 good cards away from being broken, and Kano is always 1 good card away. So, yeah, maybe there will be an adult data doll in a year from now, and that will of course be confirmed broken.
Saber, Bolton, back to the meta. No ice around, no wizards, no illusionists.
Yeah, I think ice is unplayable right now.
No disruption.
We've seen that, right?
We've seen that, yeah.
With the top 8 confirmed unplayable. Yeah. But I think Maurice is the one who probably has put the most thought into that, and I would trust him. I think I'm gonna buy some Fractal. What's the name? Fractal Replication. I think I haven't played that actually, because when I started playing Prism, I wanted to make it work. It didn't work because it was probably broken.
I think they played it in an old school like Prism Blitz deck.
Oh yeah.
Great card. Okay. Yeah, so with that, thanks for 1 year of Last Ditch Effort podcast, Maurice. Thank you so much for initiating all this. Thanks, Scott, for
really
co-hosting.
We're having a great time.
Yeah, Maurice, any last words for this episode?
No, I think that concludes it.
Closing remarks.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's show. You can find us on Twitter under the handle @LDFPod, that's LDFPOD, on Blue Sky under the handle @PugWizardPatrick or @SignalJammer, or you can send us an email under questions@ldfpod.com. We're looking forward to hearing from all of you and hope you tune in again when it's time for the LDF podcast.